We transport you to space in this Tinkan review, where we attempt to survive while waiting for a helping hand to save us from a sad and lonely conclusion. Space has long been a mystery, and as is human nature, this inspires scientists, astronauts, and cosmos researchers to try to uncover all of its secrets. With the landing on the Moon in the middle of the last century, we have now arrived at the race for Mars, with ambitious projects in search of answers towards another of the cosmos' most enigmatic planets, or at least of the known ones and of less proximity, reachable with current space agency resources. Its vastness and all the secrets it hides have inspired works of all types, becoming one of the most known and appreciated genres by the public in both the literary and cinematographic spheres. Of course, computer games set in space are unavoidable, and there are several sci-fi works, including high-budget projects like the ongoing development of Star Citizen or the forthcoming Xbox exclusive, Starfield. There is a gulf between these two exponents, and in the center there are many games that have conquered a solid community, such as Elite Dangerous, Everspace, and many others. Fortunately, not all of them put us in command of a spacecraft with the mission of exploring and combating in the expanse of space. There are other variations on the theme, and in today's Tinkan review, we'll tell you about a survival game that first appeared on Steam last year and is now accessible on consoles. This is a Tinkan Studio production in which we will literally have to survive inside a can, or rather, an escape pod riddled with 1,000 issues. Tinkan positions us as a cleaner who finds himself in space following an emergency launch from the space station on which he was working, performing jobs while waiting to be rescued and rescued. Before this fateful event, we will be able to familiarize ourselves with the game's functions thanks to a brief tutorial, which, while explaining the mechanics in broad strokes, is rather brief and simplified, and thus does not adequately provide us with all the information required to survive in the campaign missions. This lack of understanding left us perplexed when we began the rescue scenarios, the 5 situations in which we were resisting within the escape pod. Despite the fact that there are 5 of them, the situation for each mission is the same, and the goal is the same, to survive. What distinguishes them is the duration, which ranges from 6 to 30 minutes, as well as the challenges and damages that the spacecraft will experience during this time. As previously said, the lesson simply provides us with a rudimentary understanding of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and how to keep the systems operational by using batteries if the primary electrical supply fails, which, as a minor spoiler, will always happen. Furthermore, there is rather unnecessary advice on how to control damage from the main computer, which would be a very useful aid except that it is never present during survival scenarios. Tinkan becomes a trial-and-error space survival simulator as a result of this lack of information. If you are not a fan of the topic or have only a passing knowledge of the systems on board a spacecraft, the 6 or 30-minute mission will take place in an attempt to figure out what is causing the alarm to ring erratically. There is a manual of around 30 pages in our assistance with a list of errors of the various components that will appear on the monitors, as well as some of the likely causes that cause them. Our goal will be to repair or construct new electrical components, replace the oxygen and carbon dioxide cylinders, and patch any holes in the capsule created by external debris. Said another way, it may be relatively straightforward, but the challenges we had to deal with within our Tinkan were constant and did not have a quick and immediate solution. The deeper we progress through the scenarios, the more severe and current the difficulties will be, particularly the failures of electrical systems that have left us in the dark without oxygen and internal temperature regulation, as well as gravity calibration failures. The sense of struggle in Tinmite is not missing. However, finishing the most complex scenarios without appropriate training might lead to a slight but decided dissatisfaction in having to start over in quest of the right mix of systems to survive. Of course, that is the goal of the game, but because it is not a matter of missions produced procedurally, by making mistakes and dying alone in space, the solution is slowly being discovered, and we will be able to breathe a sigh of relief as the countdown approaches. Once the missions have been completed, Tinkan provides a form of asynchronous multiplayer in which you can compete online with other players using the challenges and the ranking, which is a ranking of the best timings recorded in each situation. Unlike the rescue campaign, which has a set time limit, you can participate in these situations and show that even a regular cleaner can become a first-rate space engineer by following simply the directions in the manual. A notable and unquestionably welcome feature is the sandbox mode, which allows you to play and have fun in complete freedom. Tinkan Studios' effort is relatively limited, and if the campaign missions did not feature the same occurrences, the game's duration would be considerably longer, keeping us glued to the screen for many more hours. The time required to accomplish the rescue tasks is thus flexible. It is all in our hands, as well as our cleverness and quickness, but even those who are less practical in swapping batteries will be able to finish the experience in roughly 4 to 5 hours, multiplayer excluded. Overall, attempting to survive in the depths of space was enjoyable, with the exception of some scenarios like as weightlessness or electrical storms, which taxed our patience. Having said that, the game is good on the technical side, as well as in its porting to consoles, where our test on Xbox Series X proved to be seamless and without a hitch, thanks to a very reduced basic graphics and a fairly balanced quantity of things on the screen.